Israel reportedly has ordered its military to halt the campaign in Gaza and get ready for the release of hostages. Well, the order comes after US President told Israel to stop bombing Gaza and said that he believes Hamas is ready for lasting peace. Earlier, Hamas had declared that it was ready to free hostages under Trump's ceasefire plan. But while it accepted parts of the Trump proposal, Hamas insisted that additional negotiations are needed to finalize the terms. But Trump appeared to be embracing the Hamas response as a win, issuing a video statement from the Oval Office calling it a big day and thanking US allies including Qatar, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Jordan for mediating.
Just want to let you know that this is a very special day, maybe unprecedented in many ways. It is unprecedented, but thank you all, and thank you all to those great countries that helped. We were given a tremendous amount of help. Everybody was unified in wanting this war to end and seeing peace in the Middle East. And we're very close to achieving that. Thank you all, and everybody will be treated fairly.
Well, earlier in another Truth Social post, Trump told Israel to immediately stop the bombing of Gaza. Trump posted on Truth Social, and I'm quoting here, based on the statement just issued by Hamas, I believe they're all ready for a lasting peace. Israel must immediately stop the bombing of Gaza so that we can get the hostages out safely and quickly. However, the Hamas statement did not mention the issue of disarmament, a key point of the Trump plan. A senior Hamas official later said that the group would not disarm before the Israeli occupation ends.
If the occupation ends and the Palestinians control themselves and there is a Palestinian state, Hamas no longer gonna have any kind of weapon. That mean they're gonna receive all. They sent all of the capabilities and to the Palestinian Authority. That's what we said from the beginning. We don't need the weapon if there is no occupation.
Now, Hamas has agreed to hand over power in Gaza to a body of Palestinian technocrats, but added that the issues over Gaza's future should be discussed within a comprehensive Palestinian national framework, which Hamas will be a part of. Another Hamas official, Osama Hamdan, told Al Arabi television that Hamas would refuse foreign administration of the Gaza Strip and that the entry of foreign forces into the enclave would be unacceptable. Now, that sounds like a rejection of Trump's plan for a board of peace, which he would chair himself to guide a technocratic government in Gaza. Now, despite these sticking points, it seems that the first phase of ceasefire plan is gaining momentum. As per Israeli army radio and a public broadcaster, Israeli political leaders have ordered the military to halt the campaign to conquer Gaza City and shift to defensive maneuvers. Now, Israeli Prime Minister's office has also said that it is seeking the immediate implementation of the plan to free Israeli hostages in Gaza. Israeli army chief met with top generals and instructed the Israel Defense Forces to gear up for the implementation of the first stage of Trump's plans to free the hostages. And for more on this, we're being joined by Chris Doyle, Director of Counsel and the current lead spokesperson for the Arab-British Understanding. Thank you so much, Mr. Doyle, for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Hamas has responded to President Trump's peace plan, agreeing to hand over Gaza's administration to technocrats and releasing Israeli captives, a move that's widely hailed as a breakthrough. But given the conflict's tangled history, how straight a road to peace are we really looking at here?
Well, this is very, very much the early moments of a potential move forward. Let's not oversell this. I think that Hamas has given a partial acceptance of the Trump proposals. I think that we're likely to see the first stages of those proposals being implemented. I think there is a reasonable chance that we will see a pause in Israeli military hostilities, that there will be a hostage release, maybe aid coming in with the UN. But beyond that, I think it's very, very unclear. First of all, the hostages are the only card that Hamas has. So once they're released, they have no bargaining chip with Israel. So it wouldn't be clear, for example, that the scheduled release of Palestinian detainees and bodies would necessarily follow. It wouldn't be clear that all Israeli military operations would cease last for longer than those first few days when the hostages are meant to be released. And as for the more longer term aspects of the Trump proposals, I think these are the ones that are highly disputed. As you rightly point out, there is no commitment from Hamas to disarm or leave the Gaza Strip. They have already in the past said that they would be prepared to hand over to a Palestinian technocratic committee. And one of the biggest and most serious drawbacks and weaknesses of the whole Trump plan is that there is absolutely no Palestinian agency in it for ruling over, governing the Gaza Strip. There would be a Palestinian technocratic committee who would eventually be set up. We don't know who would choose this to run the day-to-day affairs, but under the supervision of a board of peace. So this was a deal that wasn't negotiated with Palestinians. It had no Palestinian involvement. And I think that all Palestinian groups, from the Palestinian Authority to the PLO, as well as Hamas, would oppose all of those elements of the deal. I think also regional powers were very conscious of this weakness. They do not want to see foreign bodies, foreign powers continuing to control the Gaza Strip. There has to be a pathway to Gaza to be part of a free and liberated Palestine, where people there can live in dignity and peace and recover from what has been the most extraordinary trauma, what is still continuing right now as we speak, the Israeli genocide in Gaza.
Mr. Doyle, this is the latest we're getting, and I'd like to understand, how do you assess these latest developments?
Well, I think there might be negotiations between the Israeli government and the White House, because quite clearly Donald Trump wanted Israeli military operations to cease. They quite clearly have not. And I think that this will be Israel trying to push its luck. But I think that if President Trump maintains that position, Netanyahu and his coalition will have little choice but to wind down these military operations. As I said, they have plenty of options. They can wind down the military operations temporarily and the hostages will come out and then they can resume them. I mean, that would be the violation of at least the spirit of the agreement. But I think that if President Trump maintains that position, he will expect the Israeli operations to pause. There may be something else. Maybe there is
the speculations. It's also
some other reason about Hamas,
right.
not actually having decided to release the hostages. But we shall have to wait and see.
Absolutely, Mr. Doyle. And having said that, it's also interesting that Hamas has kept silent on disarmament, even as it says that it's ready to immediately enter talks through mediators. And a senior Hamas official has doubled down, saying that disarmament won't happen until the occupation ends. Meanwhile, another sticking point is, of course, that Hamas would refuse foreign administration of the Gaza Strip. Now, do you think that the momentum can override mistrust at this stage?
Well, mistrust, I'm afraid, is baked into this, because there is no trust between Israel and Hamas. There's no trust really between Israel and the rest of the Palestinian leadership. So that is there. But when President Trump posted last night, it was also very clear that Hamas had not accepted that it would be disarmed, and it was also very clear that it hadn't accepted that there would be a foreign body ruling over Gaza. So maybe President Trump feels that he moved precipitately, but he won't acknowledge that. My gut instinct that he will want to take the win from this and put huge amounts of pressure on Israel to at least, as I say, pause hostilities to get the hostages released. And I think it's the hostage release that will be seen by Trump as the big success.
Of course, but also Hamas has agreed to release the hostages under the plan. And though it insists that more negotiations are needed to seal the deal, still President Trump was quick to declare victory, calling it a big day and thanking the US allies for their role. Now, the question is, are these celebrations a little premature in your assessment?
They certainly are, and that's why we still see the ongoing Israeli military operations. There's plenty of things that can get in the way of getting to the completion of these first stages, the ceasefire, the aid-in, and the hostage prisoner release. So I think that international powers, particularly the Americans, have to work overtime to ensure that this happens, but also be very much open to negotiating on the latter phases of the deal as to how Gaza is going to be ruled, because that is something that is unacceptable to any Palestinian, regardless of their political stripe.
Of course, Mr. Doyle, given the conflict's rather tangled trajectory, we'll have to wait and see how the situation develops. But for now, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and sharing your perspective with us.
Thank you.